Thank you. Ms. Secretary, I think you're doing a great job for the President, and I really appreciate your service to our country.
Thank you, Senator.
Just to pick up on the Iran deal, I wasn't going to talk about it, but I will now. Did the Iranians deny inspectors access to military sites in Iran?
It's my understanding that they did.
Okay, under the agreement, in 15 years from now, can the Iranians enrich and reprocess without limitation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you think that's a good deal?
No, sir.
Okay. Thanks for coming to SRS.
Yes, sir.
It's a great visit. I know we have some differences on mocks, but you identified some things that we could work on at the site that are very exciting to us in the community. The President tweeted out a couple of days ago he wants to talk with Putin about stopping an arms race. Do you think that's a good idea?
I think stopping an arms race would be a
I do too. Actually, I think it's okay to talk to the Russians about where we're going with nuclear weapons. This nuclear-powered cruise missile that they displayed on a video in Russia, what did you take that to mean? What are they trying to tell us?
They're back in the game, and we better pay attention to them.
I couldn't say it any better. And your effort is to get us back in the game by rebuilding our triad system that's been depleted over time.
Correct.
And that is to modernize our nuclear force, hope to God we never use it, but make sure it is a deterrent. That's correct.
That's correct.
And the money you think is well spent?
I do.
I do too.
And I hope it's even more efficiently spent under the current administration.
So I think we have to do two things at once. Talk to the Russians about where we're headed, but rebuild a nuclear deterrent force that's in decline, that's on your watch, and I have a lot of confidence that you will get that done. As to the MOX issue, 34 metric tons of weapons-grade plutonium was agreed to be disposed of by both sides in early 2000. You're aware of that agreement?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the Russians had 34 metric tons of weapons-grade plutonium in excess of their defense needs. We had the same amount. And if you took 34 metric tons of weapons-grade plutonium, do you realize you can make over 10,000 warheads out of that material?
Yes, sir.
So the goal is to take that off the table, turn it into a plowshare, no longer a sword. In 2010, are you aware of the fact that we signed an agreement with Russia where the MOX system would be our disposal method and they would burn their plutonium in a fast reactor?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay. The Obama administration decided to abandon construction of the MOX program. Do you consider that a withdrawal of that agreement?
No, sir.
That agreement?
No, sir. I consider the Russians are who walked away from the agreement.
What did they do to walk away?
They unilaterally suspended the PMDA. And prior to that suspension, the department had informed Russia, both formally and informally, that we would pursue the D&D process.
Dilute and disposal.
Dilute and disposal, yes,
Okay.
sir.
So it's your belief it was the Russians who walked away, not us?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Why did we go from MOX to dilute and dispose? Is that the new policy of the administration?
Yes, sir. And I'll try to give you the short version of this. You and I have talked about it at length, but for the purposes of the committee, we think that the cost versus the cost of D&D, the timetable to get into being able to address the plutonium issue in the MOX versus
and you realize that I have a different view of all of it?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So let's look at the dilute
Yes, sir,
and dispose option. It would go to New Mexico, to the whip system, is that right, after it's diluted?
Yes, sir.
Have you talked to the New Mexico delegation?
I have talked to the delegation. I've talked to the governor.
What did they say?
They're in the process of having a conversation, a negotiation with their environmental commission.
Have they agreed to accept the material?
We will know the answer to that in May.
Don't you think it's we should know the answer to that before we stop the other program?
I'm comfortable that we're already sending
Let me ask
plutonium
you
to
another
the
question.
whip. as we speak, 5 metric tons.
What regulations would be required to be changed to do dilute and dispose? Have you inventoried what regulations would be required to be changed?
Can I get back to you on that?
Sure.
So I give you a
What
perfect
legislation
answer?
would be required to be changed?
Same response.
Okay, have the Russians agreed to dilute and dispose?
No, the Russians basically said that their waiver would require a
They
commitment.
object to it.
Yeah, in some pretty harsh ways.
Okay.
Basically saying that we got to,
Thank you.
anyway.
Thank you. I think what we've done is ended the biggest non-proliferation program in the history of the world for no good reason, and I'm trying to fix that.
Thank you.